Students, I'm on cloud 9 to meet you again in this class. Hope you are doing fine, preparing your lessons well with dedication and sincerity, honestly, right? So in the previous class, we have been just listening to that Dr. Bernard's story, how his life is being changed by the two small little boys. We are learning so many things from small incidents in our life also, right? That we have been a very good lesson for you to have an optimistic view throughout your life. Whatever situation in which you are, have an optimistic view and go ahead with your happy life, right? So here, due to some unavoidable circumstances, there are some writings there. Just don't bother about it. It is the schedule which is made by us to follow, right? So don't bother about it now. And in the life of pi, that previous class we have been, that previous, yeah, that one last Monday, that life of pi lesson I have been teaching you. Have you gone through that and found out the minor details? Can you follow it? Is it understanding? Any doubt in it? Do you have children? I hope it will be very clear, and prepare yourself to rearrange the jumbled sentences. Who said these words to whom, all these things. Have that in mind, and paragraph questions also. Just prepare yourself, right? Now, the next poem, that is third unit poem, is the that our principal has completed it, and I hope that you are familiar with it and you have learned it maybe. The 7 stages of human being, that is from the childhood, just vomiting in the nurse's arm, is becoming a boy, a lover, and a very majestic person, lawyer, and he is an old man having the pouch by the side of him, and finally he reaches the stage of a old man, second childishness, where there is no teeth, no taste, nothing, and he leaves the stage. That is what Shakespeare has said about the lifespan of a human being, right? Hope that poem is also complete. Now, today, let us move on to the third unit supplementary lesson. The Hour of Truth. Hour of Truth, written by Percival White. Let me tell you 1 or 2 sentences about the author. And this lesson, the Hour of Truth, that supplementary reader, is a one-act play. A play with one act. With one act, it comes to a close. So it is written by Percival White. He is an American author and a playwright. He wrote many novels, short stories, and he was so familiar for his one-act plays. The aim of the story is the psychological study of the current influence of money on people. See, there is a saying in Tamil, Panam endral Pinamum vai thirakkum. Right. So, the psychological study of the current influence of money on people. So, when people will be living an honest life, when they come across the influence, when they will be easily just becoming dishonest, disloyal sometimes because of money, because of the influence of money. See, the value of honesty is being stressed in this story. It is a very, very beautiful story and a very good stories for especially for you children to follow it up in your life, right? It is a very long play, but I will just simplify it and give you the gist of it. After that, those who are interested, just go through it. It is in the form of a conversation. That too, it is very, very simple English. It is written for you to understand easily, right? So here, it describes the situation where the honesty and uprightness of an individual is put into a crucial test. The honesty and uprightness of an individual is put to a crucial test, right? When some pressure comes to him because of the family members or others, whatever it is, his honesty is being tested crucially. He is compelled by his own family members to compromise on his ethical and principles. He is made to compromise on his principles of honesty, maybe. The mental turmoil undergone by the individual who is the protagonist of the story. So that he has to undergo a mental turmoil throughout this story and how he faces the situation. That is what is given in this story, The Hour of Truth. Here, the important change. Here, I will tell you the important characters of this. The characters of the play are Robert Baldwin. He is the head of the family. He is the head of the family who is very, very honest man, never complaining about anything. Lived a very happily contented life with the meager income that he has got. And he was working in a private bank of John Gresham. So John Gresham is the owner of a private bank in which he was working for the past 35 years. So it is a long period. He has been working there for the past 35 years under John Gresham. And more than that, these two people are Robert Baldwin and John Gresham is thick friends. He knows very well that John Gresham knows very well that Robert Baldwin is a faithful, honest, loyal man. Their friendship has gone to that extent that this Robert Baldwin named his son John Gresham Baldwin. He named his son as John Gresham Baldwin. Hope you understand. So, Robert Baldwin is working in a bank for meager salary, low salary. But he never complained to his friend. He's the secretary of the bank which John Gresham owns. Now, Martha, wife of Robert Baldwin, as honest and simple as her husband. Right? John, as I said, the son of Robert Baldwin, and he was a grown-up person, but not married so far. And Evie is the daughter of Robert Baldwin. And Mr. Marshall is the secretary of the Third National Bank. The secretary of the Third National Bank. Secretary of the Third National Bank. And there is another one person, Donovan. Donovan is also a person who is working in the bank of John Gresham. and he just got married under the thinking that his life will be safe because he has got a good job there. But at present, he is there without job, right? Donovan is another one person who is working with John Baldwin in the bank of John Gresham. So these are the characters that we could see in this play. One is Robert Baldwin, the protagonist of the story, Martha, the wife of Robert Baldwin, John, the son of Robert Baldwin, Evie, daughter of Robert Baldwin, Mr. Marshall, the secretary of the Third National Bank. This is this will be taking care of all the private banks. This head bank of, he is the secretary who is working in the headquarters of the head bank of all this private banks. Donovan is another one person who works with Robert Baldwin, and he got married thinking that his life will be settled safe because he has got a job there, but now he is in trouble since the bank is wreck. John Gresham is the owner of the private bank. Hope you know the characters. Now, the change in the attitude of the family members. Who are the family members? Robert Baldwin, Martha, John and Evie. The change in the attitude of the family members except Robert Baldwin, brought about by the influence of money and the way in which he was saved from the crisis, is the plot of the story, right? The influence of money on the family members and the way in which he was saved, that Robert Baldwin was saved from the situation, forms the plot of the story. Now the theme is the good gets rewarded and the bad gets punished. Always the good will be rewarded and the bad will be punished. Sometimes we may ask a question, he is doing all these things, but where is he getting punishment? But the thing is, good will be punished, rewarded, whereas bad will be punished. That is the theme of the story, right? So Robert Baldwin was an honest family man, the secretary of a powerful bank owned by John Gresham. And as I said, Mr. Gresham and Baldwin were thick friends for 35 years. All on a sudden, the bank which is owned by John Gresham got wrecked. Why it is wrecked? The reason is John Gresham has misappropriation of money, misused the money of the depositors. The depositors have deposited some money in the bank, but he has not taken away the money, but it is misused by him. He should not use it for some other purpose, but he has used it. So maybe during that audit time, they have found it out and the bank got wrecked. Now, R of truth, about the title. What is truth? Truth is honesty. Truth is honesty. It is a very good virtue. It is admired by everyone in this world. Whether you are honest or dishonest, you admire honesty. It is respected by everyone. Truth or honesty is respected by everyone in this world. We have heard of lot of tales about highlighting the values of honesty. In the Hindu myth, there is one person, king by named Harishchandra. He is a very noble king, well known by everyone for his honesty. God wished to test him, test his honesty. So he was subjected to severe, serious difficulties in his life. And he has to undergo all the difficulties and severe hardships. Harishchandra bravely confronted them in an honest manner. He never compromised on his integrity, even at the face of adversity. And finally, Goddesses was pleased with him and duly rewarded him. You might have heard about this story of Harishchandra. When people say lies, we used to sarcastically used to say that, I know that you are an Harishchandra's son. Right? He is known for his honesty in the Hindu mythology. Similarly, you might have heard about the honest woodcutter in your UKG class, I think. Honest woodcutter, storytelling. One woodcutter was cutting the wood, and while he was doing his work, the axe fell into the river. And he has no other property of his own to make his livelihood. Only this axe is his property. And he was just standing there without knowing what to do. At that time, Goddesses came there and asked what is his problem. And he said, I lost his axe. The Goddesses wished to test him, and the Goddesses gave several axes, kept several axes in front of him made of wood, iron, copper, gold, all these things, costly metals also. But this woodcutter just took his own axe. Goddesses was pleased by his honesty, and Goddesses gave all the access to him, and he became rich. You might have studied this story in LKG or UKG. In our contemporary life also, we might have heard about Mahatma Gandhi. Right? Mahatma Gandhi, recently we celebrated his birthday, October 2nd. He's a lover of truth. He considered truth as God. Right? He's considered truth as God. He's always honest. If you go through his autobiography, you could see that all the places he was honest. Once the school inspector came to his class, you might have studied this in some classes maybe. The school CEO, he came for inspection to that school. And the teacher just trained the children very well, so that when that CEO asks questions, the children has to say correctly. So the CEO enters the class on that day of inspection, and that CEO asked the children, CEO gave a dictation, asked them to take a notebook, test note, and some dictation is given. And that class teacher was just roaming about the class, how the children were writing, whether they are writing or correctly or not. And Mahatma Gandhi was also there in the class, and he just wrote a spelling wrongly. And the teacher noticed it very well. If the CEO found out that the child doesn't know the spelling of this symbol word, the teacher sometimes may be getting some punishment, or she is answerable to that. So she just signaled Mahatma Gandhi just to see the answer from the neighboring child, the next child, and write the answer. But Mahatma Gandhi never compromised. He wrote what he knows and submitted the paper to the CEO. Right? How many of you are honest like our Mahatma Gandhi, father of our nation? How many of you could say that I am as honest as Mahatma Gandhi? Right. And so, according to Gandhi, we cannot see God. God cannot be seen, but truth can be felt by one's conscience. He said that there is our conscience, truth can be felt by our conscience. When you do something against our consciousness, it will be pricking us. So he considered truth as God. If you are truthful, it is just equal to worshipping God, right? Maybe Gandhi's view is something different from us, maybe. For Gandhi, as far as Gandhi is concerned, the logic is very simple. If you want to live an honest life in this world, there should be a unity of thought, word and deed. Thought, word and deed. See, if you wish to live an honest life in this world, you must think. The same thought must be, you will be thinking something, but sometimes you will be speaking something else. There is no unity in your thought and word and deed, your action. So if there is an unity of thought, word and deed, you could find that you are honest. Can you find this honest people in our world today, in our surroundings today? Rare, rare. Very rare, I could say. So Gandhi says that there should be a unity of thought, word and deed. If there is a unity of thought, word and deed, you will be honest. What you are thinking? Children, just think 1 minute. What is your thought? What is your word? What is your deed? Is there any unity? Hypocrisy we could see in this society nowadays. Right. But when I say that there should be a unity of thought, word and deed, it looks very simple. What is there? Unity of thought, word and deed. It is very simple, but it is very difficult to practice. Very difficult to practice. Are you honest? Just think 1 minute, children. Are you honest? Have you seen honest people around us? Have you seen? Have you noticed? Have you observed people? Are they honest? Have you always spoken the truth in your life? Is it possible for us to live a truthful life in this world? Ask these questions and find out an answer. Most of the times, we feel that no, we cannot be honest. We cannot see honest people around us. We have not spoken the truth always. Right? Just think whether we are honest, truthful in our life. Right. Here the honesty of Robert Baldwin is tested severely and also rewarded and respected by all at the end. His honesty is tested, but he did not compromise, and finally his honesty is tested. That truth always triumphs, rewarded. Truth always triumphs. It's a saying, proverb. Let us study about I will tell you 1 or 2 sentences about the author. I told you already, he is an American writer, and he is an American writer. He belongs to the 19th century and 20th century. Right? He was born and brought up in New York City in America, and his native place is New York only. He worked as a banker for some time. Worked in a bank for some time. Writer. He wrote book reviews, novels, stories, one-act plays, etc., etc. In his writings, he tells us more about the values of life. Right? The purpose of his writing is to teach the people more about the values of life. Now, who is bothering about the values of life? If we bother about the values of life, you cannot see all these things in the newspapers and you could hear all this rubbish in the TV also, news also, right? Through his plays, he teaches the values of life. He throws light on the special trait on a particular characters. So through his writing, he throws stones at the people who are not at all bothering about the values of life. Right, children? This one-act play, The Hour of Truth, is a perfect example. It observes all the three classical elements of time, place, and action. The climax of the story develops very quickly and it ends with a pleasant surprise that we are not expecting at all. It has a sudden twist and turn. Suddenly it turns. So when we read it, we have a curiosity to read it again and find out where it ends, how it ends, right? The characters I have already introduced to you, right? Now, let us come to the story. So, John Grisham and Robert Baldwin were thick friends, and he was working in the bank of John Grisham, and their boss, he's the boss of him. And John Grisham misappropriated the money of the depositors in the bank. And one day, there was a news in the newspaper that Robert Baldwin's bank is wreck. It is closed. The reason is the owner of the bank has misappropriated the money of the depositors, right? And just for that reason, this Grisham was arrested by the police, and he has to undergo trial the next day. So now he is in jail and he has to undergo trial the next day. Just the previous day, he sent word for Robert Baldwin. So Robert Baldwin, an honest man, he never complained about anything, not for his low salary also. So far he has not asked a word to his boss for his salary. So just since the boss has asked him, maybe close friend of him, he just went to see him. And all the people were eagerly waiting for the arrival of Robert Baldwin. So all on a sudden, so far he will never send word for him, John Grisham. He will never ask Robert Baldwin to come. But yesterday he was under the police custody and he is asking, so what will be the reason for his calling? This is the question that is there in the mind of Martha, John and Evie. They were just discussing and they were all blaming Grisham for misappropriating the money of the depositors. Right? Now as they were, it was on Sunday, very hot, the season is. There is a hot sun and the land is also very hot. They were eagerly waiting for the arrival of the head of the family. And before that, there was the discussion is going on why this father is asked by this man to come today. What will be the reason? Is it correct on the part of this Grisham to do something wrong in that bank? Why he called for this? Why he asked our father to go there? Whether the father will do any wrong? No, he will not. All this type of discussions is going on among themselves. Right? And father at that time, while they were discussing like that, father arrives. And everyone is pestering him, questions after questions, why Robert Baldwin is asked to go there. Robert Baldwin said he wished to see me because tomorrow in the trial, there is trial tomorrow in the court. In the court, I am the only witness who is there against Gresham. And so Gresham has called me and asked me to say 3 words. I don't remember. When crucial questions were asked, I have to say, I don't remember. How many words? Only 3 words. Only 3 words I have to say. I don't remember. When questions were asked, when certain crucial questions were asked, I have to say, I don't remember. For these 3 words, he is ready to give $100,000. So before he says that he is ready to give $100,000, all the members of the family says that, how could you say that I don't remember when you know everything? You have to say only the truth, right? This is the attitude of Martha, John and Evie. If you go through the text carefully, after hearing the gist, you will easily understand the attitude of the family members when they hear that Robert Baldwin has to say only these 3 words. They never encourages him to say that 3 words. And after that, Robert Baldwin said, for pronouncing these 3 words, he is ready to give $100,000, a lump sum of money. Huge amount. Then now, when they come to know that it is a huge amount he is ready to give only for these 3 words, the attitude of each and every one of the family gets changed. Martha says, the wife says, she is also an honest lady, just like our Robert Baldwin, but now she says, see, only 3 words he is asking you to say. $100,000 he is ready to give. And that money, it is not from the depositor's money. You can just take it that all these years, 35 years, he has not given you full salary. So maybe the arrear salary you can take. It is not bribe. Again she says that, see, on that day, when you were baptizing your child, John, he came there, and just because of your love towards him, you have named your son as John Gresham Baldwin. Just think of it. Now you are making your own son's name to get into trouble. See, is it correct on your part to make your son's name to get into trouble? That should never happen. So you can just get the money and just say that 3 words. The same thing John also, Evie also says. So the 3 people, when they came to know that he is ready to give $100,000 as bribe, the attitude of them gets changed. Right? Now, they asked him, what did you say? What did you say as reply? What you think that Robert Baldwin might have said? He might have said, it is not possible for me because thought, word and deed of him is the same as Gandhi said. When questions were asked, crucial questions, difficult questions were asked, he has to say, I don't remember. So, but I politely declines the offer, he says. Right. One after another, they were just pestering him like anything. Like anything. to get the bribe. At one stage, this Robert Baldwin lost his patience. He doesn't know what to do. Son is pestering, daughter on the side, wife is from the other side. He is at the verge of just accepting the plea of these three people of the family. They chided him and just coaxed him to get the offer. The son says, see, if you don't say I don't remember, he will be just put in jail for his dishonesty. 35 years you have been living a very good, you have a good terms with him. Very good companion of your friend. Now his life is in trouble. His name is in trouble. Right? So you must say, I don't remember, and accept the money. Right? Just go through this, children. And if you have any doubt, we can just rectify it in the next class. And I will continue it in the next class. Okay? Read it, children. And I have given you a homework. Just complete it also. Thank you, children.